Hey y'all, I'm back. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kimiko Sumi, and this is my second video for today, and I want to talk about mental health in the Black community and how it seems to be getting more awareness, but there's still a lot of work to do. Black people, for some reason, not all of us, but many of us, not even most of us, but many of us still don't want to admit that we might have a mental problem. And a lot of people don't want to admit that. But you know what? I will be honest. Most people these days seem to have a mental problem. And I'm noticing that a lot of people seem like they're autistic. Like they've been accusing me of this, more lately than ever. But this is something I'm noticing about them. They don't seem to be making eye contact, and they look like that they don't understand social cues and stuff like that. So, I wonder if autism can be brought on later in life. I wonder. But I will get back to mental health. I'm grateful that my mother was never ignorant to mental health because she did major in psychology, clinical psychology at UCLA. And my father has always, had a history of mental illness, paranoid schizophrenia and stuff since like the 80s, basically when I was born, you know what I'm saying? So the reason why I wasn't primarily raised by him is because of his mental illness, y'all. He has a disability, and he passed it on to me. And what's interesting is right before I became a paranoid schizophrenic myself at 27 years old. No, I was 26, 27. I remember on my trip to LA to see him after so many years, I noticed that he was kind of talking to himself, and then he would chant, he would say Daimoku, which is our Buddhist prayer, it's our Buddhist chant, because he is a Buddhist too. And I was like, wow, because I already knew, I had already been talking to him and stuff like that, I always regularly would talk to my father on the phone, but I hadn't seen him in years. So when I finally saw him, he was speaking. Hold on, I'll be right back. Y'all, I'll be right back. Okay, anyway, y'all. So I was just noticing my father at the hotel, and I was like, okay, because I never really had, I never really saw him do that. I never heard him do that. I knew that he had mental problems and stuff, of course, because that's just been all throughout my life anyway. But like, I really got to see him talking to himself like that, and he was, and I was like, wow, I wasn't necessarily scared, but I was just kind of like, okay, wow, I never thought that I would be that way the next year. Immediately the next year, I started to hear schizophrenic voices myself. And I remember exactly when I first started to hear them. Behind the Jack in the Box in Carson, when I was sitting like in the parking lot, and I just started to kind of like actually talk to myself out loud. And I always tell people that I've always pretty much talked to myself anyway. Even before I had a diagnosis of schizophrenia or even anything like that. But I would never really talk to myself out in public. Like, I would keep that a secret because I've always kind of like had self-dialogue to calm me down. And I've said in another video, my sister, she used to kind of make fun of it, every now and then. But I would never really let my family see me do that. And I wouldn't let people that I knew, definitely would not let them see me do it. So, and it was an awareness. I knew I was aware that I was doing it. But then when I was in Carson, when I became homeless in Los Angeles, I noticed that I was starting to talk to myself. I was like, damn, I kind of knew. I was like, damn, I'm getting really comfortable talking to myself. Kind of like how I am right now in this parking lot. But it was like, I don't really give a damn, I know I'm doing it, but I don't really care. And then I remember I had went to the UCLA Arbor Hospital, and I was in the bathroom, and I was coming out the big stall, and I was kind of like talking to myself, and I remember there was a voice that was like, that's programming. And that's like the first actual voice that I heard. It started off with me talking to myself in public, and then that voice, and from then on I started to hear voices. And at first they were very complimentary, they were very nice. They weren't bad or anything like that, really. But then they started to get stronger and more negative. And then I started to hear more people, and it has graduated to hundreds of voices a day. Okay, and I know that a lot of people do not give a fuck about my mental illness and they don't care, and I don't really want them to. Only thing I do is just take medication because I don't really trust therapists and stuff like that. I don't really want to open up to them. Plus, I do self therapy myself. I don't really need nobody else. Plus, I have my Buddhist practice to go to. Those are like my, spiritual. That's like my spiritual parents that are all knowing and all loving for me. My Buddhist practice, my prayer, my mandala, which is called the Gohanzon. I go to my Gohanzon and use my prayer, or self therapy, or I use a lot of coping skills. So I don't really need a therapist. I don't really want that. Okay, but I'm just saying this all to say is that I immediately started getting mental health help immediately right after that. Because at first I was not taking my medication because I was in denial that I still had bipolar disorder and all them issues and stuff. And I had just got rid of social anxiety, so I thought I was just cured of mental illness. That's wrong. Social anxiety went away, but bipolar stayed, and then it turned into schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia. I misplaced. I replaced social anxiety, agoraphobia with paranoid schizophrenia. And I always say this, okay, schizophrenia is horrible. Paranoid schizophrenia is horrible. But social anxiety is way more debilitating. I would never ever want to have social anxiety ever again. It's horrible. You're always scared to, go places. You always constantly think people are judging you. I could never do nothing like this back then. I had social anxiety. No. Would I ever want to trade schizophrenia for social anxiety? No. I'm glad for any other mental illness, no. Schizophrenia is hard as fuck to deal with, but I'll tell you one thing, the benefits to having schizophrenia is that you don't really give a damn about what nobody really thinks about you because you're trying to quiet the voices. You're trying to, you're just in a constant, mode of trying to, fighting with the voices. Like you fight one, so it gets to a point where you do not really give a damn about what nobody say about you, what they think. And like I said, I said this before. I remember I used to see schizophrenics back in the day, and I'd be laughing at them as a teenager and stuff, thinking it was so funny because they would be talking to themselves, casually talking to themselves, not realizing that was going to be me one day, and it was already encoded in my DNA on both sides, especially my father's side, where there is a lot of mental illness. And even my mama said on on her side of the family that my great grandmother, she was in mental hospitals and stuff, or my great grandmother, one of them was in mental hospitals. Like she had a mental illness, and that was like in the early 1900s and stuff when the mental health community was probably even more racist and stuff. But I don't think she got a lot of it. I don't know if she was exactly. I don't think that she really dealt with it, maybe because, for one, it was Louisiana, so it's kind of different. It's kind of different. Like, racism is bad in Louisiana, but it's not really like the rest of the United States, believe it or not. It's really not. Okay, so, it's kind of separate. Okay, it's separate, but there's racism there, of course, but it's not like here, okay? In Texas or other parts of the United States, or just in the South, period. And you can look that up. You can read that up in history. It's not really like the rest of the United States. It's more liberal in a lot of ways. But anyway, because France, conquered. Louisiana was part of France at first. The Louisiana Purchase is when the United States took over Louisiana and took it from France, okay? So we know that as the Louisiana Purchase. But anyway, so my thing is that, but black people need to, come to terms that we have a problem in the black community with mental health. You cannot just pray it away, y'all, at any form. Yeah, use prayer, but you also got to take action like medication. You got to seek help, take medication and whatnot to back it up. Use prayer to back it up. You know what I'm saying? And you got to do other things like eating healthy, exercising, maybe therapy, if that is something that you could do, you feel comfortable with. Different things could help you, cope with your mental illness. I'll be right back. Hold on. Yeah, anyway, that was another car. You know how they do. They circle around here, probably look up to no good. And I'm not saying that they always are, but usually they are. They don't have no good intentions. They usually they're not really up to no good. Okay. It has nothing to do with me thinking I'm better than anybody. I just can tell by intuition. Remember, I do got that Louisiana eye too, of seeing people. I can see through people just like somebody from Louisiana. That's deeply embedded in my roots in this lifetime. Okay? So I know I'm not fucking tripping about them. Okay, at all. But anyway, I don't want to be getting, and I know it's a lot of it is my paranoid schizophrenia too. But there's some real vultures out here. But I will say, I'm just gonna get back to the main topic because I was going off topic. But please, if you have a mental health issue, if you suspect that you have mental health problems, I don't care what it is, go get help. It'll keep you out of trouble. It'll keep you centered. Okay? Here, I'll be right back. Hold on. Anyway, y'all, so these folks, they do this type of stuff. I be just minding my business, and of course they took over the spot that I just left from, and I'm not coming back over there, at least not right now. I'm not playing games with people, because I do have paranoid schizophrenia, but I'm not a fool. I'm not a fool. I don't trust people. I do not trust them. But I'm going back to the subject at hand. Plus, I need to concentrate. It's hard to concentrate when you hear a lot of voices, because they can confuse me, and that's why I be trying to get away from people too, because all their noise and stuff. Hold on, I'll be right back, y'all. Hold on, I'll be right back. One more thing before I go, y'all. No matter who you are, but especially in the black community, where I know it's a lot more stressful than other communities, don't self-medicate. Because you don't want to make it worse. Don't mix drugs and alcohol into the mix, especially not drugs, y'all. Don't. Especially if you're taking medication, don't do that. Don't do that. Even alcohol, don't do it. Don't do it. Because you don't want to screw up whatever sanity that you have. You don't want to screw it up. You got to be alert. You got to see these people for what they are and what they do, especially if you're targeted. Because just because you might suspect that you're being gang stalked or whatever does not mean that you don't have a mental illness either. You got to recognize that too. Get professional help. Get on medication. And then you'll be able to really tell, is it all in my mind, or is it really just, is it my mental illness, or is it just literally what they're doing? And you will be able to differentiate, because the medication will help you stay centered and grounded, along with prayer and whatnot, and eating right and exercising, and then you'll be able to see people way more clearly. Don't listen to nobody about, medication will make you go to sleep. No, it won't. No, it won't. Not spiritually. No, it won't. It's just like any other medication that you take. It's just like any other thing. It just helps assist you with life, and then it will help you see more of reality, okay? But people are really doing this. They're targeting me, and they target other people, but you still got to check on your mental health first. And, use prayer, that's first, interchangeably, okay? Okay, now I'm going back over here. Hold on, I'll be right back. Anyway, y'all, I'm back. So, you got to see the stuff you see how, I be walking away and stuff like that. You got to be able to keep game, especially if you're targeted. You got to be able to see, people for who they are, and you can pick up on their aura and stuff like that. If you are targeted, but you're woke, take the medication, period. It's not going to make you, it's not going to harm you. A lot of people who have been subjected to targeting, they probably should have been taking medication, because that's something that they want to, they prey on. You not wanting to take your medication and whatnot and getting help so that they can, help distort the truth better and set you up and try to put you in harm's way. And when you got the medication in your system and you take it consistently on time, they cannot really mess with you the way they want to. Yeah, you will probably be paranoid like I am still, a little bit, but you will have enough awareness to know that, no, this is not all in my mind. A lot of this is deliberate, okay? So you'll be able to, dodge adversity a lot better, especially if you're targeted. Don't just rule out mental illness if you're targeted. If you're suspecting that you're being gang stalked, don't rule out mental illness. Don't. Because people really be doing this, but you need to get some medication. You need to get help. Because I seen this one guy, if he would have just got help, mental health assistance like medication, got stabilized on medication and stuff, mood, like stabilizers or whatever like that, he probably wouldn't be where he is at right now, which is somewhere I know he don't want to be. And now they're probably giving him medication mandatory, and he probably didn't realize, damn, what did I do? You don't want to end up as that type of story. You got to have awareness. Don't mix alcohol, don't mix drugs with any of that. Stay away from people who do that type of shit. Alcohol might be one thing, but drugs, don't do it. And really just stay away from alcohol altogether. Really try to, because you don't want to have a slippery slope, getting to other things or whatnot like that. You don't want to be circulating around the wrong crowd either, because your mental health is compromised. Your mind is compromised. It's already, fragile. You don't want to add drugs and alcohol to the mix. Get away from the people. The moment you start smelling that stuff, like me, do something to get away from it. If it creeps into your home like it does in my home, incense, burn it. I don't care. It stinks anyway. Do what you can do to get around it. Complain. Do what you can do. I mean, if you can't complain, which a lot of people do not give a fuck about, saying nothing, because they probably doing it too. Even if you try to call the police, if you try to tell somebody, I don't even suggest doing that either. Don't even do that. But definitely, burn. It's sad that you got to get around people's habits and stuff, but it's also a mind thing too, that these gang stalkers want to do to try to manipulate you to be like them, because they want you to be lost. Okay, so you don't want to get used to that funky, nauseating smell that they do, which I do think is meth mixed with weed, but I'm not sure. I don't want to know. I just get away from that smell anyway. But anyway, back to the subject at the matter right now. Do whatever you can to heal yourself mentally, so that you can be aware, and just like I said, stay away from drugs. Don't self-medicate. Go to a psychiatrist. Get medication. Go to a therapist if you can. Do cognitive therapy if you have paranoid schizophrenia like me. Work with somebody if you have poor social skills or have social anxiety or whatnot. And anyway, this is my video, y'all. And basically, I would like if you would like, comment, subscribe, share my video, hit the notification bell if you like, and I will see y'all in another video of my lotus flowers. And for my upcoming lotus flowers, welcome to my channel, and I will see you in another one. Peace. I'm out. Bye-bye.